everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Backstage with Brofiki. Today we've got Goji, producer DJ, getting ready to do some cool things. We synced up a little while ago, and we're going to learn about him as an artist, as a person, the backstory behind everything that he's done leading up to this point right now, because tomorrow he flies out to England, Liverpool. He's playing his first show international, and I get an opportunity to have this interview. So thank you so much for your time and for coming on the show. And how are you? Like, how do you feel right now, man? Like tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. It's pretty crazy. I've been creating music for like 13 years, and I didn't think that when I started that long ago that I'd actually reach this point. So it just doesn't feel real. Like I've been through like the stages of denial. I'm kind of just going through it right now. I'm like, no, there's no way.
The imposter syndrome. You're like, I just wanted to make something, and now I'm doing things. Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely that. So, but I am lucky. So it's been really cool.
Okay, so you're super excited. Let's just start with that. How did you get invited to go, or what prompted you to want to go to Liverpool in the first place?
Well, it was really funny. Throughout the years, I was creating music. A lot of the music that I create, especially lately, is inspired by a lot of the music that comes out of UK. Specifically, the styles of UKG, which is UK garage, and UK bass. I know Skrillex is very much inspired by that sound at the moment, and you can kind of really hear it, like in his newer work. But yeah, I was just making music that was very much inspired by older UK garage, and it just got up to a certain point last year, I believe. Time has been a blur lately, but
I get that. Same.
Yeah, and this show named New Horizons, which first of all, I'm also a furry, which I'm an anthropomorphic animal on the internet who also makes music, which is crazy how. No, it's crazy how I've made my living having this be a part of my branding, and like it's gained me such like an international audience. Like
anthropomorphic. I've never even heard that. You'll have to explain that when you get through this phrase. Okay, is that fair? Okay.
Absolutely. But I gained a following over the years, especially within like the furry fandom, and this music festival named New Horizons, which showcases local UK talent and also international talent. They reached out to me, and they really like what I'm doing with my shows and the music that I create, and they just wanted to book me to play out there. So yeah, I'm going to Liverpool.
This is a thing?
Yes, this is an actual thing.
I just looked into this. Is so cool. Okay, so how did you get into the fur animal thing? What'd you say? What was it called?
It's like the furry community.
Anthropomorphic.
Yeah, so anthropomorphic is like the term for when we give something human characteristics. So if the best example would be Bugs Bunny. He's an anthropomorphic talking animal. So
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I love learning things. This is okay. Yep, relating to or characterized by having human characteristics, bears and monkeys. Okay, yeah. Okay, my whole childhood, every cartoon that no one watched, because I'm from the '80s. So in the early '90s, we had a show called the Gummy Bears, and they got to drink gummy juice, and they got to bounce, and they had superpowers. I like that way better than Care Bears, but anyway, okay, that's all right. Okay. So you created some art.
So the story behind my furry avatar, it's basically just an animal version of myself as a person, but it's you get to create this virtual avatar, and what gave me the idea, and this is before I got into furry actually, is
I used to listen so much.
Yeah, like I used to listen to Gorillaz all the time and watch their music videos, and they're a virtual band, like virtual avatars.
I'm tracking.
Yeah. So I was so into that idea, especially around the time that I started music at a young age, and I loved the idea of having a virtual avatar be the face of my music project. And then shortly after that, I discovered that furry was an actual thing, and there are thousands of people just like me who have virtual animal avatars of themselves. And to me, that's really cool. And that's how I got started with this, and that's how I can call this music my job and my career, is through this community. It's such a cool thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I last year I was looking for an artist to help me create something. My Scare Bears.
Yeah, that's really
Uh,
cool.
yeah. So I mean, have you heard of Plushy Dreadfuls?
Yes, I definitely am
Yeah.
familiar with Plushy Dreadfuls.
So it's that with a crossover of Care Bears, but also my a logo for Brofiki, right? Because
Hmm.
everybody, so it's I'm Rafiki, your spirit guide, but I'm your bro, like your homie.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
came from the military. That's where Brofiki came from. Was one of my friends I was training and coaching in the gym to help him pass his PT test because he's
Hmm.
lazy, and he just couldn't do sit-ups, but he could run for days, but he couldn't do sit-ups. He's struggling with that. So you're like my Rafiki to my Simba, and I'm like, what? We're on the treadmill at this time. We're just walking, you know. And he's like, yeah, man, you're like my gym spirit guide, my Rafiki, my bro Fiki. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing anything has ever said. So everyone's like, oh, you're like the Rafiki thing, and I normally have colorful dreads, you know. And so it just kind of fit. I'm like, no, my birthday's on St. Patrick's Day, and so I have lucky Care Bears everywhere. But I
Hmm.
love pandas,
Yeah.
so I wanted to do a panda Scare Bear type thing, right? Like a
Right.
plushy Dreadful, which I found on accident because the girl that does my dreads, her company's Pretty Dreadful, and I
Hmm.
misspelled it, and it popped up on my Google feed as plushy Dreadfuls. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is cool. And I'm like, so I just imagine like a panda Scare Bear with like a 4-leaf clover, but he's like beating the fuck up like emotionally because I've been emotionally abused my whole life. So I love music.
Hmm.
So that's crazy. Small world. So I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about and what you do because I'm like, I've seen a lot of art and I've been like, I knew we were supposed to have this conversation. Granted, this is
Yeah.
about you, but I'm like, if you're doing cool art and shit, guys, reach out to this dude. If you want it, he knows things.
Yeah. Yeah. I could point you
Okay.
in the direction of like really cool artists, especially the one that did, who does my art and some of that. I also do
Your
some
art
art
is
here
really
and there.
cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because yeah, guys, go check out his Spotify to SoundCloud. But on Spotify, each album has like different artwork, and I'm like, it's just really, it's very unique, right? I mean, I've been to a lot of shows and I've seen a lot of visual stuff, but I can only imagine what your visual shows are going to be like. Your VJ can use your own art. Slushy does that. His like
Yes.
cartoony stuff, and I love it, and it just
Yes.
fits. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it reminded me of. I'm like, I have to come see your show live just because I want to see all of that.
It definitely has a lot of that. There are a lot of custom graphics that me and other people have collaborated with just like my avatar dancing and stuff. I'm developing a super secret project with my avatar right now for my future shows that if me and my team can pull it off, it's going to actually be
No,
very
when
special.
your
Yeah,
when your team. No, this
yeah,
already it's happening. It's already happened. You've already said it.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool. I love hearing people think outside of the box and taking like their own inspirations and like turning it into something. But I want to know, how did the music stuff start?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting story. So growing up, I my first introduction to, I guess, electronic music was I used to hear my father play a lot of like early like 80s, I want to say it's like early 80s breakbeat, like like old Kraftwerk kind of stuff, and then like Crystal
Yeah.
Method and older electronic music like that. He was also a huge Art of Noise fan, which not many people know about Art of Noise. It's like that really obscure 80s experimental electronic group, and like
Yeah.
they're very sample based and stuff, like pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I was exposed to a lot of that music growing up, and but also a lot of like classic rock, and I remember some of the classic rock groups growing up. My favorite ones were definitely Rush, and I remember also really liking The Who. Like just like their melodies were also pretty cool too.
Okay.
But yeah, growing up, it was a mix of really cool electronic music and rock and stuff like that. So it's a bunch of different styles. But what really got me into wanting to create electronic music was a lot of the video game music I was hearing in the games I was playing growing up.
Okay.
And a lot of that
What
was what's
what
up?
video games? I played video games my whole life. What did you
Yeah,
play?
I was super into racing and platformer games, so it was a lot of games like Crash Bandicoot, Ratchet and Clank, Sonic the Hedgehog, Ridge
Conquer,
Racer. Yeah, Conquer especially.
Conquer's
I used to play
Conquest,
a lot of
Banjo
Conquer.
Kazooie.
Yeah, yeah.
That type
I
of stuff. Okay, yeah, I love those.
yeah,
Those were cool.
yeah,
Knockoffs of Super Mario 64.
oh
That's
yeah,
all it
yeah,
was. That's all it was.
definitely. Like it's just like the platformer craze of like the 90s and early 2000s, but
Okay. Yeah, they did
yeah,
have. Now that I think about it, they had pretty cool music, and you're like, oh, all right.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So that's what kind of inspired video game wise. All right.
yeah,
Racing, that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
And the one video game soundtrack I was super was into was the Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 edition.
No,
It's like yeah, it's like 3 discs
that's what
long.
one of our viewers just said too. Look at that. Sonic. Yeah, the irony. That's so funny. I like Diddy Kong Racing and like Clay Fighter 63 and one quarter. Like those are the games I played on the 64. So
Nice. Yeah.
okay, that explains the anthropomorphic aspect too, because
Yeah.
you liked all these characters and you lived in their universe when you played these games.
Pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah.
I did a lot of RPGs. That was my thing. Final Fantasy games, Chrono Trigger on the SNES when it came out was like I
Nice.
was sold. That's how I got into Japanese animation. That's why I love anime and graphic novels. And
Hmm.
yeah, okay, so that's kind of there. But making music and then when did it become a career for you? When somebody like or when you're like I just want to do this. But it sounds like it kind of just tied in everything you're doing. Like I might as well just I'm already doing this. I might as well. Is that what I'm understanding?
Pretty much. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
You know, I started in 2008. I would think I was like just turning like 13 or something, and um, I got this demo copy of FL Studio. I think it was like version 8 at the time, and I don't know. There was something about it I just became obsessed with. Like I was doing this like day and night. That's all I was doing most of my free time. So
That is so dope. Just a demo
yeah,
copy of FL Studio.
yeah. Eventually I ended up getting some jobs as I got older, and saved up and bought an actual working copy of it. But yeah, I guess it just became a career after I started making scores for a few short indie films here and there up in Jacksonville. That was
Yeah.
like mid to late 2010s.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like kind of like a small film scene up there, which is really cool.
Yeah, we have one
Um,
here in Utah too. So I get it. Yeah, we have a Utah Film Guild.
that's really
Uh,
cool.
it is cool because they give you an opportunity to do music. And I have, yeah. I'm actually familiar with that because a friend of mine's a director, and he's like, "Hey, do you have any bands that fit this vibe? Because I'm filming a scene for my movie." I'm like, yeah, actually, I do. I'll
Oh
send
yeah,
you a few. But
yeah,
it's
that's really
different when
cool.
you have the opportunity to just make it because then you realize like I don't even have to be there. Like that's what I was telling people because you can make a movie so easy, honestly, like a 10-minute movie for TikTok. And whatever product placement, it's music placement. Meaning, if I wanted to promote one of my friend's songs or one of your songs, I'm just going to have that play in my car in the background. Granted, some things there's copyright issues or whatever, so you have to have some sort of agreement and whatever. But
Right.
it's promotion and marketing, and so that's dope. Okay, so FL Studio doing that, getting into films, and then you made what a little bit of money from there.
Yeah, a little bit here and there, and then I think what when I really started putting music on the internet and uh, making a project from it was back in I want to say 2012, 2013. Um, that project was called Cobalt Rabbit, and that is a bit more chill than
Okay.
Gojii. Like Goji's already kind of, it's funny, Goji's kind of come full circle almost back to that similar kind of sound, but Cobalt Rabbit is more down tempo and it's more like very, very mellow. But I was really doing that project for a good amount of time, and then
Hmm.
up until I want to say 2015, I formed the Gojii project, and then
Okay.
the rest is kind of history. Because like what's interesting throughout the years of Cobalt Rabbit is I gained an audience from that, and then when
Okay.
I launched Gojii, that audience was able to I was able to build an audience for Gojii off of Cobalt Rabbit. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
adopting your previous success because they. This is what I love about things and people like this because you've done a couple different things in different categories, and I can relate to that. But I've also seen it
mhm,
firsthand where people support you as a person rather than what you're making or creating.
mhm,
That's neat. Okay, so you're piggybacking off of it. You've got a different sound, whatever. This would be like Skrillex from first to last to from
yes,
Emily to Skrillex to Scary
yes,
Monsters and yeah, exactly. Okay, like
yeah,
total
yeah.
rebrand, but complete not rebranding. It's like they're two separate projects.
Precisely, like they both, if you were to
Jekyll
put
and
two
Hyde.
and two together, it's like
Yeah.
they're completely different. They have their own musical identities. But yeah, like when I formed the Goji project, that was a complete shift. Like that was more high tempo, like hardcore rave
Yeah.
inspired music. um and it's funny because that was before it's popular now. Like I'm actually seeing it pop off now. Like people are getting down to like drum and bass and like hardcore and hard style like in clubs and stuff, and it's so cool to see because I was making and DJing that stuff like a bit before it took off. Like I used to
But it
create
wasn't
dance floors
mainstream
for it.
yet. Yeah, or it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it wasn't in demand. Well, that's another
right.
thing too, because your music, even now though, like I didn't realize how big of a community of this type of music. So like Lane 8, I didn't even know what Lane 8 was. That's what it reminds me of. So I'm gonna use that as an example.
Yes.
Until like I was at a friend's birthday party at her house and her husband's like into music and stuff and like production aspect, whatever. And so they were playing Lane 8, and I'm like, this is very different. What is this? What is a Lane 8? And then we have a Lane 8 coming to Utah in November, and I'm like, I actually want to go to this show. I want to check this out live. So that's very neat. Okay, going from the harder stuff to the more chill stuff. Now, why did you decide to go with this vibe? What does it mean to you?
Okay, so the story of that is interesting.
Yeah.
We had so in 2020 we had our pandemic. Things completely were turned on their backs. Everything just
Yeah.
became a bit different, and I don't think we've kind of been the same since. So, um, during that time, I kind of went through a period of artist burnout with the previous style I was going for. I guess I was trying really, really hard to be unique and like stand out, but I
Hmm.
eventually hit a brick wall with creativity, and um, I guess then this burnout actually lasted for a few years, all the way up into um, just last year, I think, like beginning of last year. Um, and what really kind of brought me out of that burnout was just thinking back to the time of when I created music, and a lot of the music that I started creating was actually like older progressive house, and
Okay.
it sounded like kind of classic Dead Mouse and stuff like that. Um, so I started making that kind of music again, but at a faster tempo, like around like
Okay.
140 BPM, which is very
Yeah.
fast. It's very fast for a house track.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is. But you're like
but
finding a way to mesh it that to your liking, and then people
yeah,
ended up like you're like, whoa, shit,
yeah,
I could do that.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny you mentioned Lane 8 because when I started dating my boyfriend, he introduced me to Lane 8, and
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, and he's like, you need to check out Lane 8. Your music reminds me of his stuff, and
Okay.
and he showed me the album Brightest Lights, and I really liked it. And as I checked out more of This Never Happened, it started really influencing my
Yeah.
sound, and I released my EP Currents, and it sounds
Yeah.
very similar to to Lane 8 because of that.
Yeah.
So
And that's crazy because you didn't even
yeah,
know. Well, shout out to your
yeah.
boyfriend, man. Thanks for doing that. Man,
Oh,
that's so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's all it comes down to is like, this kind of so who was Porter Robinson. I don't even know who Porter Robinson was, but a friend of mine like got a tattoo on his wrist with like the symbol or like whatever, like the really
yeah,
cool thing and like the lyrics. I'm like, what is that? And instead of like, I always ask people like, what does your tattoo mean to you? Or like, everybody, there's always significance. And so he played the song for me, and then I just got to watch Porter Robinson live for the first time, just like at DOS Energy, which is like Utah's like little EDC thing.
yeah.
Super cool. So I'm actually starting to like the type of music that you make, but I didn't know that it existed until somebody was like, hey, it's just playing at their house. What is this? Same thing with Cave On. I'm like, what is this? And then I like went to a show. And I'm like, listen, I grew up with sad emo rock, like screamo in early 2000s. That's when I was in high school.
Right.
So it was like Census Fail, Seosin, Taking Back Sunday the Used, Jimmy Eat World, like that type
Oh
of
yeah,
stuff. My Chemical Romance, right? Like that's what I grew up on. And when Skrillex came out, I was like, what the fuck is 2010? I'm like,
yeah.
what is this? I'm like,
Oh yeah,
it was his music video on YouTube that I liked because I was like, this is super cool. And it was that guy that danced to the Pumped Up Kicks like EDM remix
oh yeah,
that got
yeah.
me into all this. And then I was like, hold on, what is this SoundCloud everyone's talking about? So I go on a SoundCloud and I just, all of my favorite songs, I would type it in with the word remix on it or dubstep.
Yes.
And I
Oh
came
yes.
across a guy named Filth. And then Timmy. So Timmy with an explanation point did an Millennium thing. It was like Ashes to Ashes 004 because I didn't even know what a Millennium was.
Yeah.
And that playlist, and I thought it was just Millennium stuff. No, it was another guy that put all this stuff into it. And I'm like, you can do that? What? and
Yeah.
then people were just like going and taking like my favorite brand new song or like Daisy, and it was remixed. And then Marquise Scott was doing a dance to it and created his own music video. And I'm like, my mind is fucking blown right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's
I
when I
was.
started paying attention.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I was crazy into that music when I also like first saw that music video, the Pumped Up Kids dance music video. It got me super into the dubstep genre. Like Flux Pavilion is still my favorite, like to this day.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then Tritonal started doing their podcast things or whatever they called it. It was like their own personal radio station, and they
Yeah.
would introduce new music on it. So I'd listen to Tritonia every week just to discover new people, new bands, new groups, new whatever. And I think it was Meg and Dia. They're actually from Utah. They did they did a song. It was like Monster or something like that. And
Right.
then that's when I realized like, okay, like how far? And then like Lindsey Sterling, right? Because the Utah musicians popping up on the news and shit like that. I'm like, okay,
Right.
Cascade came out. I never even knew what this stuff was. I mean, I think my first rave was to go see Millennium. What was your first experience with music, with electronic music? Do you remember?
Oh, my first experience. Wow, that's a tough one. I want to say it's interesting. I want to say it was like Kira Pop, which was an indie electronic music mini rave slash
Kira Pop.
yeah, Kira Pop. They're no longer
Kira
around.
Pop. Okay, never
Yeah,
heard of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They were a local Orlando like mini music festival thing. Like they would just host like local talent and stuff. And that was around like in 2016 and 2017, and then even before that was this similar thing called Hyper Club. So it was like these mini Orlando events. But I remember being obviously making and being into a lot of this electronic music and seeing a lot of live shows, but I had never gone to any until like around 2016. I went to
Yeah.
this event, but that was like an indie music event. Like it wasn't even like a concert or a big name act. I didn't start seeing those kind of shows until like way later, but and I saw Bonobo live like last year, and that was really incredible.
Yeah, that's is that in Tennessee or is it Tallahassee or something like that? But no,
Oh, Tallahassee.
Tallahassee. There we go. Okay, yeah, I've heard of that. I never got to go to it. Lame. Okay,
It
all right.
was the one I went to is in Orlando. I actually set up Bonobos CDJs.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
I
you
was
do
working
a little
for
bit
them.
of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm all
okay.
over the place.
I love that. Okay, so who inspires you? Like, who do you look up to? Like, musically, artistically, like where does your inspiration come from? Like, if you had to say, like, yo, like, thank you to XYZ for like doing this or whatever, or this, because a lot of times people will just say, I went to a show and watched this and then I wanted to make music, or I listened to this and it influenced me, right? So we understand the furry thing, but when it comes to
Yeah.
music, before you were told you sound like Lane 8, what was
Um.
it? Who was it? Like, what do you
Uh.
listen to?
Oh yeah. So I listen to a mixture of artists. I think like the number one artist I have on repeat is Salute. He makes incredible UK garage inspired music, and it's like very up tempo. It's like 140 BPM house, and those shuffly, dreamy rhythms. And I've also listened to artists like Black Midi, who's like an experimental rock band from the UK, and they're also really, really cool. But yeah, just what inspires me is a mixture of artists like Salute and Deadmau5 and stuff like that. But I think my biggest
Yeah,
inspiration for my music is just like my life
there
experiences.
we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
cool.
it's because my album was inspired by just a lot of things going on in my life, and
Yeah,
I like to solidify memories through the music I write, or I like to
yeah. Okay.
remember people through the music. So definitely life, I think, is like the biggest inspiration, because I can pull music inspiration from all over the place and give like a grocery list of names,
Yeah,
but I think just life is just the biggest one for me. So
that's interesting. I've never heard that. It's like a photo album, but you remember memories through sound.
yes, because like I mean, music is a powerful recall for memory. I mean, there's like
Absolutely.
because
It's
like yeah,
time
like
travel.
yeah, like
Legit,
not
it's
only
time travel.
it
Yeah.
is because it can bring back sense and like sensations
Yeah.
and memories. Like it can recall a bunch of things. So I'm like, what better way for me to remember my life than through just writing about it? And that
Yeah.
keeps me. It also keeps me consistently inspired. I'm always inspired by what I experience. So it's definitely really fun to try to be inspired that way.
Yeah. Like bits and pieces and sounds and stuff.
Right, right.
Okay. Okay. At what moment with all of this, like, would you say like that you were just like, I made it, or like this is what I'm gonna be doing, or what? I'll dumb it down. When did you become proud of yourself with your music adventure with Goji or with Cobalt Rabbit? What was it?
I think it was playing one of my first shows as Goji, and whenever I would drop a track in that I made, and I would see people moving to it, and I would see people really into it and really moved by it,
Yeah.
that that feeling in that moment, like nothing else existed for me. Like no negative feelings, nothing in the outside world, and it was just music in that moment. And I think that for me was like the moment that I wanted to really do this for the rest of my life, like do this as like a career, and
Okay.
you know yeah. So
That's so dope. And you're going to England to
yeah,
play a show.
I've never been out there. This is going to be my first time, so I'm really excited. I can't wait to see what it's like out there, because I'm going to check out some of the clubs too, like hear some
Oh,
of the music that's
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
You've
I'm
done
so
your
excited.
research, I take it. You're like, oh, I
Yeah.
gotta go here. One of my favorite new core metal bands is actually from Germany, and most people
Mhm.
in the U.S. never heard of it. But it's just weird story. Zeromancer. I just actually shared this with somebody recently because it's such a interesting synth sound, and I'm starting to like pick that up in EDM stuff. Like now, people are picking up this stuff. I'm like, this is from Germany from 25 years ago. Like 20. Sounds horrible, like saying that. It makes me feel so old. But it's just interesting how different parts of the world have different everything, and then you kind of see it like mix around. And if you're not aware of what's going on there, you know, how can you incorporate that? So I'm glad that you get to travel abroad because, just like you said, your music is influenced, inspired, created, and then you're able to take all of that and then make something. So yeah, you should travel. You should listen to music everywhere, like Rastafari and stuff. Think about Jamaica, like the music that they have in like Thailand, whatever. My buddy, James, he's actually English as a second language teacher in China, and
that's awesome.
So he'll like share stuff every once in a while, and I'm like, holy shit! I don't even know how to look up this up because they have every country has their own like versions of Spotify, their own versions of.
Right.
That's why I sent you some of the information I sent you from the UK. Most people are unaware of that because they just are unaware. Like I had friends, I was in the military for a while. So a lot of friends who are overseas are like, hey, check this out or listen to this music. Or I mean, think about it. Like who's like a foreigner that you knew before they went popular in the US? Deadmau5, I guess, would be that. He's from Canada.
Yeah. I mean, Salute is slowly starting to become, rising up there. I mean, he's from the UK, but he's bringing. It's funny. He's bringing the garage sound back to America because America, I believe, started it, and then a lot of those artists from America, I think, actually flew out to the UK and were playing a lot of the stuff. And then a lot of people in the UK were inspired by that, so they took that sound, and that's why there's a distinction between garage and UK garage, because UK garage is a distinct sound. It's like it's faster, it's more it has more of a shuffle to it. It's I can't get enough of it. I'm way too obsessed with creating it because creating it for me is a lot of fun too. So it's a really cool genre, and it always fascinates me with the way it sounds and what you can do with the style. So
it's definitely like learning your audience too. I think about this, like, I mean, what was it? It was yeah, you I mean, I just think of the 80s with music, man. We had like you have Queen and you have the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and you've got Bob Marley and just all these different leaders, Prince, Michael Jackson, just all these very different leaders in genres of music. They all grew up in different neighborhoods, and back then networking really wasn't a thing. It was the newspaper and the radio. But now, the internet's such a powerful tool in like finding things. My question for you with that is, what do you think the hangups are for people to like branch out and go into these? Because you shared with me, you selected going here based off of your listeners, right? Something. It was something like that. Some cool little feature that.
I mean, I think what really helped push my sound out there was, I mean, definitely it's branding is a huge aspect of it. Like I created a character that they have a distinct look, and I like to put it with my music. So when people look at the character, they can almost also instantly be like, oh, I can recognize the music before even listening to it with this character attached to it. So my character really caught a lot of people's attention. I guess the first full-length album I released under Goji was Hypersymmetry, and it has my character on it. And I guess Future Bass was huge at the sound, so it's a Future Bass album, but like that album was like my breakout album, and I think gained me a huge audience because of the character on the cover art. So I guess definitely branding can help push your sound out there, but what also, I guess, with my latest album, how it gained a lot of, first of all, it gained like over 20K streams release weekend, which I'm blown away from.
Oh yeah, where you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like and
Yeah, I'm looking at your album art right now. Your discography on Spotify. Okay.
yeah, yeah, like and you can see like a consistent, it's my character on each
Feel, yeah,
cover, and
yeah.
you can, yeah, so but yeah, I guess what made the album such a huge success and what got it into a lot of listeners' ears was I just did the kind of the I guess it's kind of old. I just went to music blogs. I found a bunch of blogs and DJs who played and curated a lot of the sound that's similar to what this album sound is.
Okay.
And I figured going to these avenues that people go to find music they like and having them showcase it, it really helped me gain a lot of listeners, especially a lot of non-furry listeners, because you see a cartoon character on an album cover, you're
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
get
you're gonna be
categorized.
curious. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, doing that, like going the way of music blogs and radio DJs, was definitely a really good choice for pushing
Okay,
it out there.
okay. So music blogs like what exactly? Because I remember there used to be a lot of apps that don't exist anymore, right?
Mhm.
Like whatever TikTok was before it was TikTok was like something, and then when Vine was big, Tumblr was big, and they don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
But like I never used Reddit, for example, until this year. But a lot of people use
right.
Reddit
Yeah.
for things. And like so yeah, there's some music blogs. But how would you even know what to look up? Do you literally just like Google or like Yahoo or AOL like music blogs?
Yeah, it's a mixture of manually searching, and this actually took me weeks. Like, so my release campaign strategy lasted about 2.5 to 3 months because I needed that much time to really research and push, like get a PR kit and images and what the album's about. Basically, have everything ready to go to send to these people. Um, it was both manually searching, but also using this site called Submit Hub, which allows artists to, you upload a track into there, you pay for a few
Mm.
credits or something, and it you tag it and it puts it into a system, and then it actually uses an algorithm to pick out music blogs and Spotify playlist curators that would be a very good fit for that music. So Submit Hub was definitely a
Interesting.
huge help. Yeah, it's a huge
Okay.
help because it cuts out the work of having to take hours upon hours to go find people
Yeah,
who would want your
where to send
sound.
your music. Yeah.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
TikTok has helped a lot with algorithms for DJs specifically. Like
Yeah.
I swear to God, dude, I feel bad. I was talking with Silent Rain, who's a
Mm,
house DJ, and I met him through another like colleague, whatever, and I was like talking about John Summit, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. And then next thing I know on TikTok, John Summit's popping up everywhere on TikTok, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? And then I realized like, oh my gosh, TikTok can be used for musicians because I was on the spiritual side of TikTok, you know what I mean? And like the fun dances in 2020 and all that shit. Uh, so there's some. How do you release your music now? Like, what works for you? Because obviously Spotify is great. I can see how many plays. I don't care about that. That just means like, hey, this is good. Listen to this. But to
right. Yeah.
me, 10,000 plays or a thousand plays for an artist is good for me to listen
Hmm.
to something. You
Right.
know, but some people they're only looking for the mainstream stuff. So it's like, where does your music thrive? In case you SoundCloud, uh, what is it for you? Like if I were to best support you, here's a question: if I were best to support you as just a supporter of your music, I like music. What can I do to best support you?
Definitely my Bandcamp. It's a powerhouse site for indie musicians, and especially for financial support. It's probably the one service that takes the least cut.
I didn't
But
even think about that.
yeah, it's what's powered me. I mean, it's what's helped me make a career off this because and Bandcamp is especially popular amongst the furry community that I'm involved with, and the furry community is most of where my fans and supporters are, and they are a huge fan of supporting indie creators and creators that are part of the community. So Bandcamp is the way to go.
Okay, I haven't even heard of Bandcamp. Not gonna lie.
I've been using it for years. I've been using it since like 2012. It's pretty crazy. Like it's the way to go if you're an indie musician and you want to put yourself out there and you're just starting out. It's amazing. And the wealth of underground music, like some of the next level sounding music, you can actually find on Bandcamp if you go exploring their tag system.
Okay. Okay. That's excellent. Okay, cool. All right. So what do you look forward to? Like, what are some goals of yours as a producer? Okay, and you're influenced by a lot of cool stuff. You got this really cool avatar that you've designed. You've got your own mix of like new music you're gonna try out. But what are some of your goals? What do you see yourself doing with this? And it's okay to not know, but like, if you want to share a stage with somebody, do you want to create a figurine? Like, this is what it reminds me of. I literally have this guy. I love
nice.
toys. Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. It's from Wreck-It Ralph because I collect little things. So that's when I saw that.
Oh yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
have like Bluey and Care Bears figurines. Like this is my favorite Care Bear figurine. So, but
Yeah. You're gonna make your
Yeah.
own figurine one day. You're gonna have your own stuffed animal. Like what?
oh my goodness,
What
like
are
a
goals for Goji? A
I mean, a
onesie.
Goji, perhaps, yeah, that'd be cool. But like, figurines would be nice too. But I definitely want to do more. Like, I would really love like a animated music video, or like Daft Punk's like what is it, like Interstellar? It's like
Oh yes.
yeah, the Discovery album, but it's a series of fully animated music videos. I would absolutely love to do something like that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because now you're
But
taking
yeah,
film, your stuff, your story. Like, shoot,
right,
dude, you could
yeah,
make a whole story graphic novel like for your character.
right, and yeah, no, graphic novels are actually something I've wanted to do for a long time. Like having like a vinyl that comes with like a graphic novel, or like a wordless, like a dialogue-less comic with my avatar. Um,
You need to
but
read
yeah,
them.
but I also definitely want to play more shows, especially around the world. Like I want to hit every country that my fans are in,
Yeah.
because I have fans all over the place, like Helsinki, Sydney, London, Berlin. I have some in Switzerland as well. Like just all over the place. I would love to play out there. So
What's the most surprising city or place that you have fans right now? What'd you say?
I want to say I have some out in I think I think definitely Helsinki. I have a few out there. I mean, it makes sense. Like, there's a lot of really cool music that comes out of Helsinki, but I didn't think it would actually reach that far out there. But
Helsinki. Okay.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a geography major anymore. I have to look
I
this
mean,
up.
I'm so bad with my geography.
I'm like,
Like, I
I have to
visit.
like look into this now. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm familiar with the name.
yeah.
Oh, I honestly I didn't know where that was. Okay. Estonia, Turku, It's in Finland.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if you end up in Switzerland, one of my best friends, his family owns a ski resort there.
Oh,
go,
nice.
go skiing in Switzerland. I just learned
That's,
about that
that'd be,
last night, dude.
oh,
It's like
that'd be
2 in the
sick.
morning.
Yeah,
Like, what are the
that'd be fun.
odds? Okay, so you're definitely all right. So you leave tomorrow. Okay. Well, this is
Mm.
it's just crazy like how you and I synced up in the first place. Like I'm like
Oh yeah.
helping this guy out that I met he's a friend of mine, I'd say. But this is what's crazy, okay? I met Scotty in September of last year because Laser Kitten, who's like an anime like EDM artist, she's really nice and cool. She opened for Embers with a Z, and he's from
Oh,
Ireland.
nice. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was the first show I went to after I had surgery on my leg, and she was there. We met her and we became friends with her, and she invited us to this like little private thing that she was doing in this bar that hasn't opened yet. It was like a soft opening. So we go, and Scotty was the bar manager. And I helped him with some projects. He introduced me to some people, whatever. Well, at DOS Energy, right, I was helping an artist there, and Kayvon was playing. Like, I had a lot of friends that were going to be there, so I went to that. And I saw Scotty there, literally just like standing in the crowd. And I'm like, hey, man, I haven't seen him in like a year. And then the next week, I went to a Beck acoustic concert at a local concert thing, and he was there too. And I had a text message because I have two phones. I had my old phone, and then I wanted to rebrand because I've had the same phone number forever, and I'm weird like that. So I was like, got a new phone, but I had a text message from somebody that said, hey, it's Scotty. Let's chat soon. I thought it was this Scotty. It wasn't. But when I saw Scotty in person, I thought it was him. And I'm like, hey, man, reach out to me this week. Let's chat. So he writes me this message. I'm in Florida doing all of this stuff. Let's chat soon. I want to bring you out here then in September. I'm like, 6. We started talking on a regular basis. And then you were there. And I was on the phone with him, and he just hands the phone to you. And we had a phone conversation. I had no idea who you were, what you sounded like, anything. And I was just like, hey, what are you doing? How can I don't know why we're talking right now, but we're supposed to be talking. So here we are. What are we doing? And now we're on a podcast together. And you leave at the US tomorrow, and you start this entire journey.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how everything can kind of just interconnect, like just by chance sometimes,
Yeah, just being in the right place at the right time and whatever. But like literally, he was on the phone with me talking about something completely different. I think you were like came into the room or vice versa or something. I don't know.
I was like just preparing for my set that night. I was just going through my tracks, like I was just like in the same room. I'm just like, oh, hi. So
No, that's cool. I love that. So did you ever play a game called Xenogears on the PlayStation 1 or even heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it, but I definitely have heard of it.
Okay, well, you don't need to play it, but think of like Gundam Wing meets Dragon Ball Z, but different because it's like just go watch it's like 2 hours. It's actually like a movie, and somebody put it together like the whole story as though it's a movie because it's like a 90-hour RPG. Favorite game ever. So it's like cartoon animation with like mech stuff, mech warrior type things with martial arts, with all this stuff. And that's kind of like, I was just like looking at the transformation of your character through that. And that's kind of what it reminded me of. I don't know.
Oh,
Do you watch anime at all? Yeah, it's like your character evolves a little bit. Like you're going Super Saiyan, dude. Like that's what it looks like. It's going start from the bottom all the way up. Like you are evolving.
Yeah, well,
that's what it reminds me of.
It's like I said earlier. I mean, my character is an extension of me. So is my music. I mean, like, as an artist, your music is going to evolve as you evolve as a person. But so did my virtual avatar. They're also transforming with me because they're just the visual representation of myself in this project. So and using music as a journal, it's just also just taking a snapshot of my life at the time. So audio and visually. So
I love this so much for you. I just, gosh, thank you so much for taking the time to like let me get to know you a little bit and share your music and your story with the world, because that, I mean, it means a lot to me. Thank you.
Oh, I mean, it means a lot to me to have me on here. So thank you for having me.
You're getting ready to do so many cool things, and I love it. And I'm just like, that's what I've been listening to as I've been writing lately. I've been seriously. So that's something outside. So before, like, we wrap all this up, but it's like, what song or what music were you listening to when you created something? And I can honestly say that, like, so I've been writing down quite a few plans because I'm designing a festival. I'm taking Warped Tour and EDC and mixing them together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That'd be really sick.
Yeah. I'm doing a battle of the genres. So like battle of the bands, but like every genre of music. And it's just because it's the people that I know. I love all music and I just want to bring them all together. So, but I've been listening to your stuff lately to prepare for this. So like this whole last week as I'm writing, I've literally been listening to your music. So I want you to know that you've literally impacted me personally with what I'm building, just because I was So that's kind of an interesting. So that's why I think this means so much to me. It's so different because I would never listen to this stuff because I didn't know about it.
Wow.
So
No, that's
how
that,
can I support that? Like I will share stuff on all of my platforms. I can do that. But like for
Mhm.
fans, guys, like go follow this Gojii character that you created on SoundCloud, on Spotify, Bandcamp, wherever else, Instagram. Like,
Yeah, I'm also on Patreon too. Like, if you want to
okay,
directly fund what I'm doing and help pay for my living expenses, like Patreon is a fantastic way to do that as well.
yeah, it's like a Kickstarter project.
Yeah. It's like the more you can pledge monthly, and you can also unlock like early access to music and
Sweet.
stream archives and stuff. So it's really cool.
Man, all right, I appreciate that. That is crazy. Yeah, little things. What do you look forward to the most about this trip tomorrow? You nervous for this long flight?
I mean, it's gonna be at night, so luckily I can just
Oh, you
sleep.
sleep,
So
crash,
yeah,
crash.
but I think the most thing I'm looking forward to this is I'm kind of going into everything blind. Like, but my boyfriend's going with me, which is super
Oh,
cool.
good,
But
good. I'm like, you
yeah,
got to
yeah,
eat cereal while you're there. You got to eat a bag of chips, and you got to have
yeah,
a soda,
yeah.
just to say like these are completely different.
I
Just do
know.
that.
I think the biggest thing is actually the food and the music out there. I think the two biggest things are exciting for me. Like
Like,
I'm
do I
trying to
know
take it
anybody?
all in.
I'm so stoked for you. Okay, so did you have to get like a business visa or something, or how does that work for you to go?
The
I
UK
honestly don't know.
it's in the UK. You can basically perform and work out there for like 1 month without a visa because they like their performers. So they like international
Okay,
acts to come in. So it's really cool because like America they charge they're way too much for international acts to come in on like a visa, but with the UK it's a lot more accommodating. It's a lot more easy to get
makes sense. Yeah,
acts to come in. So
gotta
that's
love.
really cool.
I'm looking at Liverpool right now. Sweet. Yeah, like so I used to travel a lot for work. And this is where I actually started taking photos. I don't think anyone in my life knows this story. Uh I would travel to DC or like I would fly into Baltimore or like DC and rent a car because I had like a couple clients when I worked for Logitech. I'd have to go
Mhm.
visit them. And I'd stop at all the cemeteries and take pictures of cemeteries because they
Nice.
had some of the coolest structures I've ever seen
Right?
uh,
Yeah.
in that area. So like from Arlington, DC, Virginia, all of that. Literally I would get disposable cameras in the early like 2009, 10, whatever, and I would go out there and I would do photos of cemeteries. And so when I think of like England and like all of that, I'm like old churches, right? And
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
like
yeah.
cemeteries are the coolest thing for me to go and check out and photograph.
I mean, I don't blame you. There was this one cemetery behind this old apartment I lived in, and I would visit it every day because it would have old structures in it that were really cool,
Or
and it's
like
just
their
like
names and stuff.
yeah, like and some of the dates too. Like it's just like history. It's like oh my gosh, like there's really old history like right next to where I live. Like that was the coolest thing for me. So
Cool. Sick. And my family is from Wales.
oh nice. I know some people out in Wales.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's about it. I want that's people always ask me like if I could travel anywhere, where would I go? I'd go to the Black Beaches,
Yes, I want to visit those.
the Black Sand Beach. Is it Greenland or Ice? I think it's Iceland. I think it's in Iceland.
My partner, I
One
think,
of them.
actually visited. Yeah.
Okay. So that's one, and just for a photo shoot, I literally want to go just to do a cool, sick photo shoot with smoke bombs.
Mm-hmm. That'd be
That's
really
not
cool.
AI. I know I can change the damn color of the sand, but that and then Wales because my last name is Howell, and so like our royal bloodline of Prince Howell. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. Most people don't even know like coat of arms or where last names came from, but I studied a lot of that because I speak French as well. I was
Nice.
a French linguist for a couple years, and like, so I was kind of forced to like study all that shit. Anyway, that's off topic. Yeah, that's it. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Can we buy things? Do you sell merch? Do you have some stuff?
Yes, I do have
Where
merch.
can we find you? What's your website?
Um,
Tell everybody, where can we find you?
You can find me at goji.bandcamp.com. That includes links at the top of my page. You can find my merch, music, Patreon. I also have a Linktree that has all my links in it as well. That is linktree.com/gojimusic.
Oh, okay, cool. I just found your link on your SoundCloud. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. It should be in all my links. So.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. Stay tuned with Gojii. Follow him on his journey. Follow him everywhere. I'm going to post everything after this. And until next time, guys. Peace out, Cub Scouts.